Okay, picture this. It's a Monday evening, peak traffic in the heart of India's capital. Just a totally normal, bustling scene, right? But in one single, horrifying instant, all of that was about to be shattered. So here's the when and where. We're near the historic Red Fort. It's just before 7 p.m. A Hyundai i20 is just sitting there, stuck in traffic like everyone else. And then, boom, it just erupts in this massive explosion. And the scene that followed was just pure chaos and horror. I mean, you have eyewitnesses describing things you can't even imagine. Bodies thrown into the air, debris everywhere. The human cost was just immediate and, well, absolutely staggering. When the dust settled, the numbers were grim. At least 12 people lost their lives. More than 30 others were wounded. This wasn't just another incident, it was the deadliest attack Delhi had seen in over a decade. So this explosion sent shockwaves, and I mean that literally and figuratively, right across the city. Imagine being a first responder rushing to that scene. You're not met with a simple car fire. You're met with a wall of flame and just twisted metal. And right away, in those first critical hours, investigators had one huge question on their hands. Was this a terrible, tragic accident, or was this something much, much darker? The first theory actually seemed pretty plausible. Officers on the scene saw the car engulfed in flames, and you could see its CNG kit in the wreckage. So, naturally, an exploding gas cylinder became the leading theory right out of the gate. But as more info started trickling in, things just weren't adding up. The sheer size of this blast, the way the victims were thrown, it just didn't fit, and the fire itself looked wrong. Suddenly, that simple CNG explanation started to look really shaky. Okay, so let's really break this down. On one side, yeah, you've got this visible CNG kit and a massive fire. But on the other, the experts are looking at this and going, no way. A CNG explosion just doesn't create a shockwave that powerful. Plus, the flames were a deep orange, and that screams chemical accelerant. Natural gas burns with a clean blue flame. All the signs were suddenly pointing away from an accident and straight towards a deliberate attack. All right, so now we're in a whole new ballgame. This is being treated as a potential terror strike, and that means the focus immediately shifts to the car itself. The new mission? Painstakingly retrace its every single move. And this became the absolute central mystery. Who was behind the wheel? Where did they come from? The driver was killed in the blast, of course, leaving behind only a sort of digital ghost for the police to chase. And what an undertaking this was. We're talking about teams poring over footage from more than 1,000 CCTV cameras. Their goal was to build what they called an electronic route of the bomber's last day, tracking that Hyundai i20 from the morning right up to the moment it exploded. And the timeline they built is, well, it's chilling. The car pops up in Faridabad at 7:30 in the morning. Then it just sort of meanders through Delhi. Circles cannot place. It almost looks like it's scouting traffic patterns. Then it parks for 3 hours near Chandni Chowk before heading to the final spot. This was absolutely not a random drive. And then that journey finally had a face. Forensic teams got a DNA match from a recovered body part. They matched it to the mother of a man named Dr. Umar Nabi, a 29-year-old doctor who was a teacher at a university in Faridabad. Think about that. The bomber was a highly educated medical professional. Identifying Dr. Nabi just blew this investigation wide open, because now they knew. This wasn't some lone wolf attack. No, this was the work of an organized and, frankly, a deeply unsettling terror cell. Pretty quickly, investigators were able to link the blast to a Jaish-e-Mohammed module that was spread across several states. And at the very core of this network was a truly shocking discovery. A whole group of young, radicalized doctors, all of them connected to Al-Falah University. And this so-called doctor module had some key players, people like Dr. Muzamil Ahmad Ghanai, who was actually the guy who managed the university hospital's emergency wing. His arrest, which happened just days before the bombing, is what led investigators to a massive stash of explosives. And when I say massive, I mean it. The cache they found was just staggering. In these rooms that Dr. Ghanai had rented near the university, authorities found nearly 2,900 kilograms of explosive and flammable chemicals. And not just that, they also found assault rifles, timers, detonators, the whole shebang. Meanwhile, back at the blast site itself, the forensic evidence was finally painting a crystal clear picture. Teams found traces of ammonium nitrate. That was the main explosive. And they also found button batteries, the kind you'd expect to see in a timer-based bomb. And if they needed any more proof of how sophisticated this plot was, they found it. 2 live 9mm cartridges were recovered from the wreckage. Now, you can't just go out and buy this kind of ammunition. It's prohibited for civilian use. This is the stuff that's issued to armed forces, which tells you this wasn't an amateur operation. This points directly to a well-supplied, highly organized terror network. So, as all these shocking details about the plot started coming to light, the official response from the very top levels of government was, as you can imagine, swift and incredibly clear. The Indian government officially came out and called the blast a heinous terror incident. This wasn't just a crime anymore. It was being framed as an act of war against the state, carried out by what they called anti-national forces. And to really show how seriously they were taking this, the whole investigation was handed over. It went from the local police to India's top anti-terrorism squad, the National Investigation Agency, the NIA. This was now a matter of national security. And the Union Cabinet's resolution on this sent a message that could not be mistaken. The government was committing to a policy of zero tolerance. They vowed to hunt down not just the people who did this, but their collaborators, their sponsors, everyone involved. And that really leaves us with the most disturbing question of all, doesn't it? Because this story isn't just about one attack. It's part of a global pattern that we're seeing more and more. Highly educated professionals, people like doctors and engineers, being drawn to violent extremism. It really forces us to ask a tough question. What on earth pushes someone who's trained to save lives down a path where they choose to take them instead?